Tom went from being laid off to building a hyper-successful community law firm in South Carolina. His story is incredible. Welcome back to the Revenue Roadmap, the podcast designed for family law firms to learn, grow, and build their firm to new heights. My name is Tyler Dolph. I'm the CEO of Rocket Clicks, a hyper-focused digital marketing agency that works exclusively with family law firms around the country. We also own and operate our own family law firm called Sterling Lawyers that has grown to over 30 attorneys across 2 states. Today, we interview Tom Winslow of Winslow Law. Tom went from being laid off to building his community full-service law firm in South Carolina that now has over 4 locations and multiple attorneys serving a lot of different areas of law for his community. He's taken a unique approach and built a very successful firm. Make sure to check out the episode. Welcome back, everyone, to an awesome episode of Revenue Roadmap. Today we have Tom from Winslow Lawyers. Tom is gracious enough to hang out with us today. Tom, really appreciate your time. Excited to have you here. Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about your firm?
Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all allowing me to come on and allowing the firm to be, spotlighted a little bit on your program. I am Tom Winslow at the Winslow Law Firm. We are located down in South Carolina. We have practiced in actually 29 states, 3 countries, but primarily focused on South Carolina with offices in Columbia, Myrtle Beach, Surfside Beach, and Pawleys Island.
Incredible. And Tom, how long have you been at your firm? When did you start it? Give us some background on the origin
Sure, absolutely.
story.
A lot of times, as I'm sure you might have some of the same stories, you get thrust into things in life that you don't necessarily plan on, right? Your life is not necessarily how you planned it. And so coming out of law school, I was offered a position in a little town called Georgetown, South Carolina, which took me out of Columbia, which is the capital. It took me towards the beach. When I was presented with the opportunity, I went to my girlfriend at the time, my fiance, and I said, you want to stay in Columbia or you want to move to the beach? And obviously, because of her sway, we moved to the beach. And so that's
easy answer.
That's where I am. I was working with that firm. I actually got laid off from that firm. They did not necessarily agree with my political positions. And I went and partnered up with a guy roughly about 12 years ago who had his own political persuasions. And about 3 years ago, he decided to pursue politics full-time, turning the law firm into simply Winslow Law, which is where we were. We were, at that time, roughly 5 attorneys in 1 location. And over the last 3 to 4 years, we've grown to 8 attorneys in 4 locations. And so sometimes you just follow the course that's laid out for you, not necessarily what you planned.
That's how it goes, right? I mean, I think I feel like we all have so many opportunities in this life, and the most successful among us are the ones that treat them as opportunities and run down that path to see what happens.
You just keep going. It's funny because a lot of times, and there's books out there that say, just say no, and no is an important word. And to me, people that say no close doors. I'm always a yes person. I always like walking through those doors, and I have the understanding that I might fail. I heard a while ago that if you're not willing to lose $1 million, you'll never make $1 billion. And so I'm always willing to fail, always willing to go bankrupt. It's not mine, it's God's. And so if he wants to give it to me, he'll give it to me. If he wants to take it away, he'll take it away.
I love it. That's so great. It feels like since you took over the firm entirely, you guys have experienced some great growth, opening new offices, adding more attorneys. Tell us about that. Did it spur an opportunity to take your firm to new heights, or was that always a plan?
It's amazing sometimes, as we were saying, and you know this, running a law firm is all about embracing the adversity. It's almost what litigation is, right? It's almost what every case you have is. You can't run away from the facts that you have. You have to embrace them and try to turn them into the path you want to take. And so when that situation occurred again, like 3 or 4 years ago, it was not something that was planned. It was not something that was ever on my agenda. As a matter of fact, owning a law firm was never on my agenda. That was sparked by being let go, right? So we just roll with the path we have. And I was blessed to find a multitude of good team members and with good attorneys who helped facilitate the direction of the firm. And the firm's a little bit different, at least in my mind it is. There's so many law firms nowadays that are niche law firms. They focus on one task. They do one thing, right? Family law, right? You do one thing, and you pass out the other cases or refer out the other cases. And what I learned, at least from my experience in my community, is that a lot of people here are really embracing and really wanting that community law firm, right? And so with us, we always put in our branding. We never market, we always brand, because to me, marketing is trying to get clients. For me, branding is trying to tell people who you are, and they get to choose whether or not they want to work with you. Because as attorneys, we build relationships, right? We want to have a relationship, because even in the family law department, many of my cases are 3 to 5 years long. I've had cases that are 12 years long, right? You got to have a pretty good relationship with somebody that lasts 12 years. That's longer than some marriages, right? So, in the day, it is what it is, And so we wanted to build a community law firm where people could come to us. And so we always say we're attorneys and counselors. And honestly, it's more important for us to be the counselor than the attorney. And so they come to us, and each one of our attorneys has a department. So we always work in collaboration with each other, not in competition with each other. So I have one attorney doing family law, I have one attorney doing estate planning, right? One attorney doing civil, criminal, real estate, right? And so when an issue comes up for a client or a community member, they have one law firm to come to, but they have people in each niche that know what they're doing, right? So it's a niche attorney in a community law firm.
I love that approach, and it is definitely different than a number of the firms that we speak with, and obviously different than the firm that we own and operate. Sterling has made its calling in being family, exclusive family, and even niche down in family. We only do divorce and mediation. So for us, it's like building a factory, right? Of being able to be really great at a single thing. But the ideology around having a community-based firm that can serve the community in whatever it needs from all the different facets of law is really cool. Was that part of the plan? Did you want to create that, or did it just happen based on the lawyers that you hired and their specialty?
I'm going to go with both. I'm very, at least personally, I believe I'm very community-oriented. I get yelled at because all I want to do is help. And obviously as attorneys, sometimes all we do is help for free and we don't get paid for it. So we want to be there. We're very involved in the community. We try to make it so that no matter what happens around us, we're going to be a part of that. Someone's house burns down, we're there to offer them a meal, right? If someone has a need. And so we're known around the community as a member of the community, not just as a business in the community. And so it has really garnered a lot of, I believe, mutual respect between us and our community and the members in our community. And so it's really fed into who I believe I am as a person. But I can't do it alone, right? We currently have 25 members of the firm on this team. And so without someone that has that family law expertise, that someone that has that real estate expertise, I couldn't facilitate that because I can't possibly know everything. And so we found the right people that know those niches, can really step in and help the members of this community, both right from a counselor standpoint, but from that advocacy standpoint as well. You got to be good at your job.
100%. Yeah, you can't just offer everything and not be very good.
Exactly right.
So I think that's a really important distinction. Tom, I'd like to take us back to the beginning a little bit. As I mentioned before we started, our listeners are young lawyers. They're law students. They're thinking about what's next. Give us some perspective when you had moved to the beach and decided to, you got laid off. Was your mindset, well, now I'm going to start this firm, or was it I'm going to go get a job somewhere and create some security? Give us some perspective there. I feel like a lot of younger lawyers learn the law, they get passionate about the law, they get excited to be a lawyer, and then they are thrown into this entrepreneurship journey, realizing that they have to do so many other things other than just practice the law. And it takes a while, right? There's a lot of key learnings during that period. Give us some perspective in your circumstance.
So, man, you've hit on so many things that I just love. And so feel free to jump in. I love the word perspective. I mean, that is my favorite word in the English language because it's impossible for you to appreciate what you have and understand what you have unless you have perspective from both around you and above you and below you and everything. I just literally got back. I had a client that needed me to go to India. And so I literally just went to India. I got back a week ago. And to be able to have the perspective of India compared to the United States, doing law and working with people in India compared to people in the United States, it really is a mind jarring. So that word perspective is so important. And it's so important for young people to have because it's really honestly hard for them to have it. You got to have experiences to be able to have perspective. And so for me, going general to the specific, right? Very generally with young folks, Yeah, and you might be the same way. I don't know if you are or not. I was this way. I want to go to the best school. I went to Loyola Law School. I want to be the best in my class. I want to do everything. And I'm completely changed my perspective. If you're going to law school, I don't care what school you go to the community you want to practice in. Right? Get to know the people, get to know the judges, get to know how they do the law there. Because I promise you, in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina versus Charleston, South Carolina versus Columbia, South Carolina versus Costa Rica or India, it's different everywhere how you practice law. And so go where you want to practice law. And I don't care what you do in your undergrad. If you want to be a dance major, you'll be the best dance attorney in the world. Right? It doesn't matter. Like, focus on what you love and what your passion is and go where you want to practice. I don't care where you go to. I'd rather hire someone, honestly, from Columbia, South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, than Harvard or Yale. That's me. I'd rather have someone that's in my community and knows how my community is than someone that's coming in not knowing and thinking they know better than everybody else. So that's just very general. Okay, it's very general for me. In terms,
I love that.
Right? Too. In terms of the firm, for me, I was fired. On December 23rd, I was actually looking up the directions to my firm Christmas party, and I had a voicemail. And so every night, and no matter what day it is, every night I make sure all my emails are checked, all my text messages are checked, all my voicemails are checked, and I call them back every day. It doesn't matter if it's a Saturday or Sunday. Right? As part of that, being a part of the community, you make sure the people that you are working for know that you appreciate them. And so I checked my voicemail. It was like a Saturday night. Can't remember what it was, December 23rd, 2011 or 12. And it was basically my boss saying, "Don't bother coming to the Christmas party." I know, right? It was a voicemail, right? Come on. My wife was 4 months pregnant with our first child. I obviously had a home and a mortgage. I was relatively in a new city. And so by January 1st, I partnered up with this other gentleman, and we had started a firm within 7 days. And I had a choice to make, right? The choice was either I wallow in my pity and I get food stamps, or I go start a firm and I make something of it, right? And so I called this guy up on literally December 24th, right? Let go December 23rd, called him up December 24th, said, "Hey, it's Christmas. I know it is. Y'all think about it over the weekend and let's talk next week." We made it happen. It was the two of us as attorneys and one paralegal, and we pushed forward 70 cases. When I walked in, it was 70 cases we had. By the end of that first year, we had over 170 cases after that first year. And then obviously it's catapulted up to this point now. We're now at this point, we have roughly 1,300 open cases in the firm, and we're averaging, give or take, about 15 what we call PNCs, potential cases a day. Right, so we got about 15 potential cases coming in a day, and we got over 1,000 open cases currently, and that's what's manifested in over just about 12 years, just because we keep putting ourselves out there and keep being available for people.
Tom, that is incredible. It's so inspiring to hear that. Like, the only option was to keep moving forward.
You attack. If you fall down, look, we all fail. Like, honestly, I plan on failing. I want to fail every day, because if I'm not failing, I'm not pushing myself hard enough. Right. And I'm going to fail. I know it. It's how do I respond when that happens? And that's what we have to remember. You always keep moving forward. And sometimes you take a step back to move forward. And sometimes you move forward half a step. And that's okay, as long as you keep going.
We have this saying in our office, and I have this mug.
Yeah, but you didn't send me a mug. See, I don't have a mug. I have a water bottle. You should have sent me a mug so I would have it.
Yes. We have a saying in our firm, and it's "be the buffalo," right? And the difference between a buffalo and a cow in a storm is the cow runs away from the storm, and the buffalo runs through the storm, because it knows instinctually that that's the fastest way to actually get through. So
that's like people driving, they park on the side of the road with their flashers on. Meanwhile, I'm barreling ahead, getting through the storm.
Yes. Same ideology, same principle. I think that's so inspiring, Tom, to hear how you were able to overcome that adversity and build the firm that you have today. Talk to us about the future. Where's your firm going? What do you hope to continue to achieve? Is it more communities, more locations?
It's amazing. It's almost the converse of where we started, right? When you first start off a law firm or start off as an attorney, right? We have a lot of young listeners maybe listening that are in law school. You're trying to embrace as many opportunities as you can. You're trying to grab opportunities because you're like, what can I do? You might not have things presented to you because of your age, right? And we both know this. Running a law firm or practicing law and being a law student and learning the law, completely different things, right? Completely different things. I mean, learning the law is a precipice for modifying your mind and your brain, but it has nothing to do with actually practicing the law at all. Until you get into a courtroom and get yelled at by a judge or a client yells at you for a fetus feud or something like that, you don't even understand what the law is. And that just, again, that's perspective, right? That just takes that time to get those experiences. But now on the opposite side of it, that we've been going for about 12 years, we're not trying to grasp the opportunities. The opportunities are coming to us, which is a real true blessing. And that's something that I just truly believe in. You'll be able to handle anything that's given to you as long as you're willing to embrace it and allow God to give it to you. So the problem I have now is we have so many opportunities of locations or attorneys. Every week we're getting an attorney or a paralegal to send us their resume asking if we have any jobs available, right? So do I hire more people? We have 3 different locations that want us to come to their communities because there's people down there that want us to work down there. But do I have the right people in place, and do I have enough cases to facilitate another location? And so the truth is, right now we're trying to manage our opportunities so that way we can move forward with our future, right? As you were saying, move forward with our future, but not bankrupt our present, right? We want to make sure we take care of our present and our team. I love this team. We really facilitate and gel together, and I love our community that we're in. So do we grow within our community? We grow outside of our community. We bring more people in. It's that managing of presented opportunities now, and how do we use those to behoove our community? How do we bless our community or other communities? Truthfully, I don't know the answer to that. We're working on that as we speak. Right now, over the next month, we got some big decisions to make.
I love it. And you're in such an advantageous position where you can have the confidence to make that decision, knowing that, today's going to be okay as you build for tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, no, we're blessed. And that's one of the things you'll learn. And I always try to tell my kids, I got an 8 and 11-year-old. I said, look, I can't spend everything I have on one trip or one shirt or one pair of shoes. I've got to save it moving forward. So we've been able to build up our war chest, build up our reserves. That allows us to facilitate these opportunities and the bigger cases. As you know, we could easily spend. I do a lot of medical malpractice and complex litigation. Real estate might cost you $400,000, $500,000, but if you're going to do a medical malpractice, it might cost you $100,000. And if you don't have the assets and the funds and reserve to be able to handle that, it puts you in a real detrimental position versus an insurance company who has unlimited resources. And so you can't go and just spend it all at one place. And so we've been able to build that up over the last 10 to 12 years. And so now we have the funds that we can do that, and hopefully the economy will allow us to do that. We'll find out.
Yes, we will. Tom, this is incredible. I really appreciate your story. You have an awesome firm. What a great community story. I'd love to end our interview with how we normally end, which is talk to our audience, give them 2 or 3 pieces of advice that they should be thinking about as they're starting their own firm, going out on their own, thinking about joining another firm. What would you want to leave them with?
Yeah, if I'm looking for, and I'm looking at a younger attorney, right, a law student, someone that's getting started as an entrepreneur, the key is allow your fear to be your driver force, right? You're going to be, I'm still scared. I still have fears. You kind of heard, I still have decisions to make, and I've been doing this now, and I was forced into this now for 10 to 12 years. So don't allow that fear to paralyze you. When you make no decision, that's the worst decision you can make. Make a decision and choose a path. And it might be the wrong one, and then veer when you learn that decision, or fail and try again. But if you don't make a decision, you don't keep attacking, then you fail. And what I've always told my team is don't focus on the problems, focus on the solutions. Always find a way to move forward. If you focus on the problems, that's all you'll ever see are problems. And it creates a negative attitude, and it creates a cancer within a culture. Always focus on the solution, always drive forward, and always attack. And never be afraid to move forward, ever.
Oh, that's so good. Be the buffalo.
Be the buffalo.
Tom, thanks again for your time today. I really appreciate it. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. And thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of Revenue Roadmap.
And thank you all for your time.
I hope you're enjoying our interview series here on Revenue Roadmap. We have lots of great interviews to share with you, family law firm owners who are building their practice through lots of different means and mechanisms. There's no one way to do this. There are many ways, and we're hoping to showcase that for you here. Make sure to check out our next episode right here.